The rain had been falling for hours, a soft drizzle tapping against the kitchen window of Emma's little flat in South London, the kind of rain that doesn't flood streets, but lingers, like grief. She sat at the table, cupping a mug of tea gone cold, staring at her phone screen. It was 11:47 p.m. and Daniel still hadn't come home. He used to text every evening. "On the way, love. Pick up something for dinner?" Now, silence had become his language. Emma's heart had grown used to waiting. But that night, something in her chest felt different. It wasn't anger or fear. It was a quiet knowing, the kind that creeps in when denial finally runs out of places to hide. Daniel had always been charming. Everyone said so. He was a project manager in a sleek tech firm, the type who wore cufflinks and smiled too easily. They'd met at a friend's wedding in Brighton 5 years ago. He was all warmth and confidence. She, quiet and unsure. For a while, he made her feel seen. But lately, he was barely there. The missed calls, the vague excuses, the new cologne she'd never seen before. It all felt like tiny cracks in a glass floor, spreading silently beneath her feet. Emma had spent weeks convincing herself she was paranoid. "He's stressed from work," she'd whisper, brushing away the thought every time it returned. But truth doesn't vanish. It waits. And tonight, it waited in her phone, glowing faintly on the table. The message had arrived by mistake. A preview flash before the lock screen dimmed again. It wasn't from her. "I miss you. Same place tomorrow?" From someone named Sophie. Emma's stomach dropped, her skin turning cold as if her own body had betrayed her. She stared at the name for a full minute before unlocking the phone with hands that trembled. The thread was long. Too long. Messages stretching back months, small hearts, hotel names, hidden affection typed in stolen hours. Daniel had been hers once, and now he belonged to someone else. She closed the phone, pressing it to her chest as if she could force her heart to stop feeling. Outside, a bus hissed past the flat. The city didn't care. London never did. But inside that small kitchen, something broke. Quietly, irrevocably. The next morning, Daniel came home just after 7, the scent of someone else's perfume faint on his shirt. "Morning," he said, avoiding her eyes. "Didn't want to wake you." Emma nodded, her face calm, her voice steady. "You didn't." He kissed her cheek, habit, nothing more, and went for a shower. She watched the bathroom door close, then turned back to the window where the rain had stopped. For a moment, the world looked painfully clear. That clarity terrified her more than the betrayal itself. Days turned into a blur of silence. Emma stopped asking where he was going, and Daniel stopped pretending to explain. The air between them thickened with everything unsaid. She started walking after work. Long walks through Clapham, along the Thames, anywhere that wasn't home. Sometimes she'd sit in cafes just to hear other people's laughter, reminding herself that life still existed beyond her flat. Then, one Thursday, she decided she'd had enough of being invisible in her own story. It began with a call to an estate agent. Her grandmother had left her the flat before she died. A little 2-bedroom with peeling paint and a view of the railway. Not much, but hers. Emma had never thought of it as more than a home. But now, it was an escape. The agent's voice was cheerful. "Market's decent right now, love. You could get a fair bit for it." Emma smiled faintly. Love. No one had called her that in weeks. She listed the flat, quietly, efficiently. She began selling little things. Old clothes, books, pieces of furniture Daniel never noticed anyway. Every pound she saved went into a secret account. Every day she came closer to something she hadn't felt in months, freedom. One evening, she followed him. He said he had a late meeting in the city. But Emma knew. She took the 8:15 train, sat 3 carriages behind him, her coat buttoned to her chin. He got off at Charing Cross and walked toward a small restaurant tucked away near Soho. And there she was, Sophie. Blonde, younger, wearing the same perfume Emma had smelled on Daniel's collar. They laughed like people with nothing to hide. When Daniel reached across the table and touched Sophie's hand, Emma turned away before the tears could fall. She didn't need to see more. She'd already seen everything. That night, she didn't confront him. There was nothing left to fight for. Instead, she packed. Every drawer, every shelf, methodical, silent. She packed her grandmother's ring, her journals, the old Polaroid camera they'd once used in Brighton. By dawn, half her life was in 2 suitcases. Daniel came home at 3 a.m, half drunk, half guilty. He didn't notice the boxes stacked near the door. He didn't notice her red eyes. He just fell asleep beside her, the way someone does when they're too used to being forgiven. By the end of the week, the papers were signed. The sale was final. Emma transferred the money, booked a small flat overlooking the sea in Brighton, the same city where they'd first met, where she'd once believed in forever. She didn't tell anyone, not even her sister. The night before she left, she wrote a letter. Not angry, not bitter, just honest. Daniel, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. I won't ask for explanations. I've already heard them in my head 100 times. I'm not leaving because you stopped loving me. I'm leaving because I stopped recognizing myself waiting for you. I sold the flat. You won't need to worry about it. It's all taken care of. You once told me I made you feel seen. I hope one day you realize what it means to truly see someone. Please don't look for me. This isn't revenge. It's release. Goodbye. Emma. She left the letter on the kitchen table beside his favorite mug and their framed photo from Brighton Pier. Then she took her suitcases, locked the door one last time, and stepped into the crisp morning air. The city was just waking up, the hum of buses, the smell of bakery bread, the faint sound of traffic. It all felt strangely peaceful. As her taxi pulled away, she watched the flat fade from view. It didn't feel like loss anymore. It felt like letting go. Brighton greeted her with salt and wind. She rented a small flat overlooking the sea, painted the walls soft blue, and filled the space with plants. Every morning, she walked along the pebbled shore with a thermos of coffee, watching waves erase footprints, proof that even the sea knew how to start over. At night, she read again. She wrote. She even started sketching, a hobby she'd given up years ago. Some days were heavy. Healing always is. But she no longer waited for anyone to come home. Months passed. One chilly evening, she received an email from Daniel. "I'm sorry," it said. "I didn't know what I had until it was gone. I hope you're okay." She read it once, twice, then closed her laptop without replying. Forgiveness didn't need to be spoken, it only needed to exist quietly, somewhere in her heart. She poured herself a cup of tea, stepped onto the balcony, and watched the lights flicker across the water. For the first time in a long time, she smiled. Not because she was happy, but because she was free. The rain returned that night, soft and unrelenting. It tapped against her window, just like it had months ago in London. But this time, it sounded different. It sounded like peace. And as she curled up on the sofa, the sea whispering beyond the glass, Emma realized the truth of it all. Some endings aren't failures. They're quiet beginnings in disguise.